All right, let's jump right into this explainer. I want you to picture something for a second. Imagine a perfectly flawless human employee. You know the type, someone who shows up every single day, never late, always performing at their absolute best, and delivering exactly what's expected without so much as a single complaint. But over the years, a tiny, almost invisible error starts to develop. And as time goes on, that tiny error begins to grow. Eventually, it just gets way too big to ignore, and this once perfect employee is finally let go. They're completely relieved of their duties. It's a pretty relatable everyday human scenario, right? But what if we took that exact same framework and applied it not to a person sitting in a cubicle, but to the literal center of our solar system? Welcome to this explainer where we're going to be looking at the sun through a really unexpectedly profound lens. So that actually brings us to a really fascinating question. Could the sun literally be relieved of duty one day? I mean, it kind of messes with your head a bit to even think about it like that, doesn't it? We are so used to seeing the sun as this eternal, permanent fixture up in the sky. It's like the ultimate symbol of reliability. It rises, it sets, and it always comes back. But if we start to reframe the sun as a cosmic worker, as an entity with a very specific assigned job description, we kind of have to ask the logical next question. Could it ever get fired? Or, to put it a bit more gently, could it gracefully retire from its post? Think about that everyday office worker putting in the hours. Now imagine scaling that up to the absolute grandest level of the cosmos, what we're calling the cosmic employee. We're talking about the sun, dutifully distributing light across the entire solar system. This captivating metaphor actually comes from the philosopher Bediuzzaman, and what he does here is so brilliant. By framing the sun not just as some giant, mindless ball of plasma and burning gas, but as a dedicated official tasked with a very specific job of distributing light and sustaining life, it totally shifts how we see it. The sun isn't just a blind force of nature anymore. In this framework, it's a dedicated worker fulfilling its cosmic duty, day in and day out. And when you think about it, the sun's routine is actually pretty familiar. Just like any of us, the sun has a structured workday. Its main daily duty is tirelessly distributing light and generating the warmth that makes life on Earth even possible. But this job doesn't happen without a few temporary pauses. Sometimes the sun's work gets interrupted by a passing cloud, or maybe it's completely blocked out by the moon during an eclipse. It's almost like it's taking a quick break from our perspective. But those temporary pauses, they actually subtly hint at an inevitable final retirement. Because if the sun's work can be paused temporarily, logic kind of dictates that one day this daily routine is going to come to a permanent halt. One day, that distribution is going to stop for good. But here is where it gets really interesting. Listen to the specific imagery Bediuzzaman uses to describe that final retirement. He says, "The sun is like an official who gathers their light and retreats every evening. When the currently small but growing sunspots enlarge, it will take back its light and say, 'My work here is done.'" Think about how profound that framing is. It takes this terrifying concept, the literal end of our solar system, and frames it with this incredibly calm, non-apocalyptic personification. The sun isn't exploding in some chaotic, fiery rage. It's simply a diligent official noticing that the errors on its record, these growing sunspots, have gotten a bit too large to keep operations going. So it just calmly packs up its light, clocks out for the very last time, and peacefully declares, "My work here is done." And what I absolutely love about this is how perfectly the philosophical view lines up with modern astrophysics, because science tells us in hard, undeniable terms that stars do have a finite lifespan. As they use up their core hydrogen fuel and that delicate balance of nuclear fusion starts to fail, they absolutely will not burn forever. The sun has an expiration date, that's just a fact. But then, on the flip side, we have this framework from ancient texts and philosophy telling us the sun is an official whose cosmic duty will eventually conclude. This explainer brings these two worlds together to show a really brilliant synthesis. We've got hard science about the finite lifespan of stars perfectly mirroring the ancient textual idea of a concluding cosmic duty. It's the exact same reality, we're just looking at it through two uniquely beautiful complementary lenses. To really grasp the depths of the sense of cosmic duty, we can actually look at a specific verse from the Quran. It reads, "When the sky is ruptured and listens to and obeys its Lord, and it must do so." This perfectly illustrates the idea of ultimate cosmic surrender. The end of the sun's life cycle, which is described here as the rupturing of the sky, isn't framed as some chaotic, terrifying disaster where nature just spins completely out of control. Not at all. Instead, it's an act of listening and obeying. It's a strict adherence to a grand, peaceful, pre-written order.
The cosmic employee isn't throwing a tantrum when the job is finally over. It is gracefully surrendering to the ultimate authority that assigned the task in the first place. It's retiring exactly as it was meant to.
So after unpacking all of that, I want to leave you with something to really chew on as we wrap up. Does the end of the sun's duty feel scary to you, or is it actually a comforting sign of a grand universal order? When we look at the mortality of our own sun, not as a random catastrophic accident just waiting to happen, but as an official eventually completing a well-served, purposeful duty, it completely transforms how we process the entire universe around us. It takes the cold, vast emptiness of space and fills it with real purpose. It shifts our perspective from fearing the unknown to feeling a profound sense of wonder and, honestly, comfort. So the next time you step outside and you feel the warmth of the sun on your face, take a second to remember the cosmic employee. It's working diligently right now, knowing that even the grandest stars are simply playing their temporary part in a beautifully ordered universe.